Hello everybody, I'm the Spinner Joe and today I'm going to be breaking down the new trailer for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom that's being revealed by the Nintendo Direct yesterday. So let's take a look. So for starters, the trailer starts off with this like weird figure that's probably got something to do with the main story of Tears of the Kingdom. I think that this might be Goddess Hylia, as we see later on. As we see later on. Somewhere here. Yeah, you see later on that we see is what appears to be Zelda. So I think there will be some connection with this brand new character or something. I think it might be Goddess Hylia as for is connected to Zelda herself. So let's keep on playing the video. And we slowly transform into this looks like to be a battle against the army of Ganon against up to some people over here. I think a lot of people think these might be the Zonai or the ancient Sheikah. Or it could be the Harlians themselves. And we do see that it's been depicted that these are, well, different. So we see the goblins with their new horns. But the one thing I found strange about the horns on these bokoblins is that they're curved. Unlike the one we see in the previous trailer, it has straightforward horns. So I don't know why it has a curved horn right here. That's beyond me. And also, Moblins here has their horns as well, which is weird because we see Moblins in the previous trailer to have no horns, but have like this stumpy helmet. Essentially, I don't know what it is. But it looks like we do have a brand new weapon here that we've never seen. It looks like a scythe that's being bent backwards. I don't know how effective a weapon will be if it's backwards, but it is what it is. And we see the goblins holding the Boko clubs. Now, if we move on to the next transition, now we see this what I'm assuming is Goddess Hylia and the seven tiers. And I think it's the seven tiers of the region that we have in Breath of the Wild. One for Gerudo, one for Lunaru, one for Faron, one for Hyrule, I forgot what's the other three. Oh, one for Goron, Death Mountain, one for Akala, and one for Terabitha. Essentially, I think these seven tiers will be found across the three seven locations of Hyrule itself. Unless that's what I'm assuming it is. I mean, this is a fresh video. I just coming out with no script or whatever I want to say, but I just want to keep on, like, I just want to theorize. Here is, here we see what looks like to be Zelda being, well, sacrificed. Some people might think she's being sacrificed here. It could be that she's being fallen, like we see in the previous trailer that we see, um, Zelda fall down the deep abyss below. But yeah, and a lot of people think that this could be not Zelda, but this could be a descendant of Zelda. Essentially, there's a lot of connection to Skyward Sword. Essentially, this could be like something to do with Skyward Sword. And then, of course, we see Zelda here again, holding hands with something. Later on, it's being revealed that she's holding hands with the goddess over there. And we move over to Link opening the big giant doors, where I'm assuming is where he's being dragged to after when he uh encountered the undead Ganondorf down below in Hyrule. Essentially, this is what's gonna happen after you encounter him. As for you open the door, you see a big giant bright light, and you see all of this. And then Link start walking, and then you see all these different locations here, a tree and everything. These are terrains that I don't think I ever seen in Zelda before. So there's that. And now it comes to here. And one thing I want to point out is this big structure thing. Now, a lot of people think that this could be something to do. Oh, I would say a lot of people, but some people think that could be resemble of this thing right here. But the bottom half of the goddess over here. Essentially, a lot of people think that this is where the goddess like lives in that. I think it's a dungeon because it's way too big. Now, yes, it could be a location where the goddess is, but it could be just a big dungeon that you need to go through. Essentially, this is right in front of you, like early on in the game, unless you lose the paraglider and you have to, I don't know, collect shrine orbs or whatever the equivalent of the shrine orbs in Tears of the Kingdom to get a paraglider. But we'll see. And now we see Link diving down into the clouds below to Hyrule, has been confirmed that this is no like different learning zones or what. Essentially, just go down and you see Hyrule down here. So yeah, and then this is probably one of the ways you could get back up to the heights. But the other thing I want to clear is that a lot of people miss the detail that all of here is black and white. Now it could be just the lightning, but it could be just the lighting over here, but I don't know because even though it's a stormy day, you still will see the lush green of these palm forests. Essentially, what I'm thinking is that whatever's happening, I think some parts of Hyrule um is turning everything to black and white, and then we see this big giant storm over here, cloud storm. I don't know what is supposed to be there. I think it might be one of the story bosses because that's look like a place where you fight a boss, and hopefully in the bosses of Tears of the Kingdom will be a little bit more harder because a lot of the bosses in Breath of the Wild are nothing but pushovers, except for Thunderblight. I think Thunderblight is definitely the hardest one out of all of them. But bosses in Breath of the Wild are such pushovers, so hopefully that the bosses in this game will be harder. And then we see this. Actually, I don't think that's actually a bird. I think that's a bat. That is definitely not a bird. That is definitely a bat. Yeah, that's a bat, alright. Is that supposed to be like a case or something? Did the case also change? Because that's a bat. And we do not have bats in Breath of the Wild, so that's kind of interesting now we're having bats. And also, bats doesn't. This is actually an entirely brand new creature. Actually, it's like I think it might be a pterosaur or some sort. Now I think about it. And then here we see Link climbing up on one of the islands. This location is very, very interesting. I never seen this location before in Breath of the Wild. Actually, wait a minute. I think those are the clouds. But because you're in the skies, you see brand new areas. Essentially, I never seen this before in Breath of the Wild, to be honest. So yeah, and then finally we hit at the last part of the trailer. We see an island here. We see Death Mountain, assuming erupting with malice, or it could be lava, but I'm assuming it's malice. And I wonder if it's where you're gonna fight one of the bosses, because Zelda is known for its bosses. So I think you might fight boss in Death Mountain. Essentially, the one thing a lot of people is not talking about is that is this like what actually happened to the Sheikah technology, like the divine beast? Do they actually put away and bury it under the ground? I don't think so, because burying the divine beast like very hard to do. Essentially, you need like millions of people to bury that thing. So I wonder if this got something to do with maybe a divine beast, maybe getting corrupted with this brand new malice, and maybe transforming that into like an actual big giant creature. I mean, who knows? And then we see more islands here. You see this big long one over here. And then you got this little one here. So I think there's like, I think that is a treasure chest over there. So there's that. And then you kind of see that down here, Hyrule is not looking so good. Like, Hyrule's seeing better days. Now, this is like much more worse than what the Calamity was in Breath of the Wild. This is way more worse than the calamity, because the calamity took over Hyrule, bringing everyone to fear. This brand new calamity is essentially destroying Hyrule, like destroying both people, wildlife, and the landscapes. And then we see this weird bird glider thing. My first assumption was, is this some form of like divine beast? I mean, it could be like one of the first ones, because essentially this is not like anything else you really seen before, but it does resemble. And then you see these green glowing things there too. But I want to let everyone to point out this thing right over here. This looks familiar. Mm. So essentially, I think that Sheikah shrines, divine beasts are going to be somewhat a thing in this brand new game. Essentially, all the shrines and towers probably went back to underground. But I think the divine beast will still be somewhat involved with um the story of of Tears of the Kingdom, because this is one of the shrine pedestals that you use. It's one of those when you shoot the thunder bow and essentially hit it to raise up one of the shrines. I wonder what happens if you actually shoot an electric bow to that location. Essentially, Breath of the Wild 2 is what I'm assuming is either directly after the first game or a few years after. I would say maybe 2 or 3 years after the main events of Breath of the Wild. Essentially, I think that we still will be and seeing Divine Beast because don't forget, this is the sequel of Breath of the Wild. And I think that the Divine Beast might be something happening here. And then we're just like overlooking above Terabitha, not Terabitha, Tabitha, wherever this location, the Ruto village. Essentially, I am very interested on what the character interactions to the world is like. So it will be very interesting. And then we're close with these two serpent rams type dragons. I wonder if these just. I wonder if there's like actual dragons, like actual creatures that exist. And then we get our title reveal, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. It still have the Ovid, like of Breath of the Wild. So it still resemble the it's a sequel to Breath of the Wild. And you can see the background here. You see the goddess over here, and you see what I'm assuming is a descendant of Princess Zelda. Essentially, essentially, what I'm thinking is that this is definitely is goddess Hylia and something to do with. So that is my breakdown of the brand new trailer for um Tears of the Kingdom. It would be very interesting what the game is going to be about. So hope you enjoyed this video. Tell me what you think about Tears of the Kingdom and Spino Joe is peacing out.